Yo, what's good, YouTube? I'm back with another reaction video, and we got Larry Bird, Legend in Green. This joint is about like 50 minutes, so this joint is definitely about to be good, man. I know I put this video on my watch later, so I know this is gonna be good right here, y'all. But let's get straight into the video. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that like button, and let's get it, man. The Legend in Green, Legend in Green. Legend in Green. Let's get it, man. I think this is about Troy Pritchett, I believe. Shout out to you.
The following is a Fox 25 sports special.
He always had to prove himself, because I don't think really nobody ever really thought that he would be that good.
Being from a small town community, people over here, you know, they just go out of their way to be nice to people and to do things for people. Larry was kind of like that. I think that's kind of like the rest of our family.
People know, you just have to say French Lick and they know where it is. He's put us back on the map.
He really has pulled the state together and the communities, especially French Lick and West Baden. You know, that's their son, and everything revolves around that.
Who'd ever thought that that little blonde-headed boy would go on and be what he was? We're the luckiest family in the world.
There's only one place I'd rather be. French Lick. French Lick. French Lick.
I would say the whole town's very proud of him. I mean, he means a lot to them. It's such a small community. Everybody knows everybody here in town. There ain't nobody that doesn't know who the Bird family is.
This is his home. There's nobody rushing up to him for an autograph. There's nobody stopping him, giving him a hassle. This is home.
He treats me just like he would have 18 years ago. And I treat him the same. I don't cut him no slack, and he don't cut me none.
They were hard workers. They were churchgoers. Larry's father was a fine person. He just had some major problems that were very difficult for him to overcome, and he couldn't overcome them. In a sense, it made the boys and Linda stronger. I think the one thing I got from my father was his determination to go to work no matter what. My mother worked 100 hours a week. She got $1 an hour. We grew up without a lot of things that the other kids had, but we didn't care. We had sports and we had our family.
There's no question at all who was the best player in NBA basketball. There is no doubt.
To fully understand the basketball genius of Larry Bird, you have to come back to its roots here in French Lick, Indiana. Hello, I'm Jimmy Myers, and welcome to our special, Larry Bird, a Legend in Green. It was here in a close-knit community that Bird, influenced by family...
Yo, I'm excited I'm glad I found this video. Ooh, this is about to be good, y'all. Come on, I just had to say something, because it's just like, I'm just so happy right now. Let's get it.
And friends acquired the work ethic and values that would build a Hall of Fame basketball career.
A very quiet boy, a very loving boy, a very good little boy. The other boys seemed like always wanted to be out doing something, but he more or less wanted to stay around the house, stay around with me and help me. And he wanted everything done right. I don't know whether I should say this or not, but we gave him a nickname of Mr. Clean.
Larry, Mr. Clean.
Not many people knows that, but he'd go out and play, and he'd come back in and he'd take a shower and change clothes. He could not stand to be dirty. He had to be clean, so we called him Mr. Clean.
We grew up without a lot of things that the other kids had, but we didn't care. We had sports and we had our family. I think the one thing I got from my father was...
Somebody tell me where I can get that shirt, man. I want that shirt. I want that shirt. Tell me where I can get it from.
His determination to go to work no matter what. I never seen him cry about being sick. I never seen him, if he got injured, I never seen him say, well, we gotta miss work tomorrow. My mother worked so many hours. She worked 100 hours a week, and she made $100 back then. She's very stubborn. I'm very stubborn. She's very moody. I'm very moody. So I get a lot of things from her, and all that goes with me when I play basketball, because if I have an injury, I try to play through it like my father would. and I'm very stubborn with the way I look at the game. I look at the game a little bit different than a lot of people, and I think I get that from her.
He damn right he do. He damn fucking legend. He damn right he do.
Larry, here clowning around on the left, grew up with younger brothers Jeff and Eddie, his sister Linda, and older brothers Mike and Mark.
One thing that we did as kids is there was always a fight every day, and it was usually either me and Larry fighting, or Mike and Larry fighting, or me and Mike fighting. But nobody dare pick on any one of us, because then all three of us were pretty tough together. Larry used to get in a lot of fights. He wouldn't pick on kids his own age because he was so much bigger than them, but he'd always pick on somebody that was 5 or 6 years older than him. He got us into many fights.
Well, my dad told us as young kids, he always says, well, if your brother gets in a fight and a guy's bigger than him, if you don't jump in when you get home, you're going to get a whipping. Well, that's the same way with our friends. You know, I have a lot of good friends, and sometimes they get in trouble, and I try to help them out, and not necessarily fighting all the time, but when we was younger, we should stick up for one another, and I think anybody would do that. But my dad always taught us you got to do whatever you can to help that individual out, because he's a part of you, and that's the way we was brought up.
Larry's upbringing would take a tragic turn in February of 1975, when his father, Joe, ended his own life with a shotgun.
It's a lot how it was done that makes it so terrible. If it had been a car wreck or something, it wouldn't have been quite as bad. But to think that maybe we all could have done something, especially me, I have always thought just one little thing maybe could have changed the whole thing.
I just wish he was around. My dad was one of the greatest people in this community. A lot of people liked him. I mean, he was just Joe Bird. Everybody knew him. And it's just sad that, you know, he's not here to reap the benefits of all of his kids' hard work.
Do you ever wish that your dad could have seen all this?
Oh, there's no question. I just seen a guy over town yesterday was saying, bro, I wish your dad was here to see all the accomplishments that you've made and all the things that you've done. And of course you would, but there's nothing you can do about it. You got to move on with your life. He made a decision of how he wanted to live his life and how he wanted to die. And you know, you can't dwell on that. You know, you dwell on it when it happens and you go, Jesus Christ, you know, you can't believe it. I still can't believe it, but I can't live my life around it. I got to put that aside and go on. And all I can do is just hopefully when it's all over, we'll get to meet again.
In addition to his parents and siblings, Granny Kearns, whom Larry lived with for a few years, greatly touched his life.
I think everybody perceived me as being sort of a hard-nosed guy and very moody and does what he wants to do. Well, my grandmother's completely opposite. She's very religious, very church-going, and I always thought that I was wrong because I didn't go to church. But if I came in at 10 o'clock at night, she'd always fix me popcorn, always give me back rubs, and she was a big part of my life, a big part of our family. And when she passed, it was unbelievable. I mean, it was just like, you know, this ain't supposed to happen, but it happened. And I think about her every day. That's one person I've always thought about every day in my life.
Man to man, what does your brother mean to you?
He means the greatest. I love him. I love all my brothers and my sister. And he just, you know, he just typifies hard work and desire to be the best. And that's what he means to me, the greatest.
When you think of all the things that your amazing son has done, how do you describe your sense of pride?
Well, first I think of him as just my boy, one of my boys, one of my children. I'm proud of all of them. They've all done good. And Larry's just a little special touch to all of it, and we're all very proud of him. To think, who'd ever thought that that little blonde-headed boy would go on and be what he was? We're the luckiest family in the world.
13 years of hard work, sweat, toil, and pain produced fame and fortune for one Larry Joe Bird. But it was here on this court at Spring Valley High School in French Lick, Indiana, that a young man grew to love the game of basketball, and the legend was born.
And there was many games we stepped down that court, and he'd have to get us up. He could psych us up. I mean, we would feel, you know, you look at a team there, and boy, we thought, boy, this, you know, we're playing a lot bigger schools than us, and Larry, I mean, he just had this thing. He says, boys, he says, we can do it. He said, let's go out there. He said, ain't nobody, you know, no better. And I tell you, he could get us up. I mean, he could make us believe it. And I tell you, nobody expected the year we had in high school. See, nobody ever expected it. But he had, and it was mainly due to his desire. He was a coach out on the floor with us.
I can still remember it just like it was yesterday.
Big game.
And oh yes, and just to watch him play, and the crowd. He would build the crowd up, and then the crowd would build him up to do just a little bit more. And so, I mean, you can almost still hear the ringing in your ears.
Two individuals were most responsible for Larry's development as a basketball player. The first was Brother Mark, who began the number 33 tradition and preceded Larry as a star at Springs Valley.
I think the one thing that caught my eye when my brother was a junior in high school, how much time he put into it to perfect his skills. Mark was 3 years older than me, and what happened was he just kept playing and playing, got better and better and better, and I sort of caught on, and finally figured that it took a lot of time to be good, and then I put the same amount of time in it, and I could see my game improve, and sort of got a kick out of it.
Larry credits his first coach, Jim Jones, with instilling in him the fundamentals and work ethic that would symbolize his great career.
He stopped by and gave you a couple moves to work on. He said, now I'll be back in an hour. We'll see how you did. Well, he might not come back for 4 or 5 hours, but you weren't going to leave because you want to make sure, you knew he was going to come back sometime. Then he might show up the next day, and he goes, well, I'm sorry I didn't show up yet. But after a while, I kept telling my buddy I played with all the time, I said, I think he's just doing that to keep us out here so we'll practice more. And come to find out that's why he was doing it. But he worked with us a lot. I mean, he put his time in. And you don't find too many coaches like that. And I think that gave me a direction to go in. If he's going to work that hard as a coach, as a player, you should double your time to make him proud of you.
I can remember as a very youngster, as a sophomore in high school, his ability to understand the situation and to make the passes were there. I've seen him make behind-the-back passes. I can recall one specific incident that we were playing, and the kid Larry was playing with as a junior was trying to break the school scoring record, and we had everybody out in a blowout, but he was in, and he was just wearing out because the kids couldn't get him the ball. And Larry, as typical, says, Coach, put me back in, we'll get it. We put Larry back in the game, 3 passes, the kid has 3 baskets, and he breaks the school record. And to Larry, that was nothing.
When did you realize that your brother Larry was going to be a special basketball player?
The time that I thought that I seen Larry play, and I thought, boy, this kid is going to be something, was a summer of his between his junior and senior year. And when I left French Lick here, Larry was about 6'3", probably weighed around 150, maybe 55 pounds. And he was a good, I mean, you could tell he was going to be a good athlete. He was going to be as good, if not better than me. He comes up there, and all of a sudden he's 6'6" now, weighs about 175, 180 pounds. I couldn't believe it. And me and Larry was on the same team with our other friend that came up, and we just dominated. We started about 5 o'clock and played till about 9:30, 10 o'clock. We never lost a game. And that's the day that I just knew that Larry was destined for something better than anybody could imagine. I think that was the first time that I can remember that Larry ever beat me one-on-one. I mean, he just couldn't do it. I always had that psychological edge on him, a little bit more quickness than him. But now all of a sudden he's got this height, these drives to the basket anymore where I could just shoot it up over him. I was getting him knocked back in my face. It was scary. 1973-74, Larry Bird's senior year in high school. State's leading scorer, state's leading rebounder.
leading his team to the championship game in the regional.
Larry's accomplishments at Springs Valley lured college recruiters to French Lick. Public sentiment persuaded him to choose Indiana University and coach Bob Knight.
I think my dad was the biggest influence on Larry going to IU.
Really?
That's all he talked about was how good he would look in a red blazer, in a nice red suit, a crimson suit that IU's colors.
He didn't want to go to IU in the first place. The night that Bobby Knight came down to talk to him, he said, "Mom, I don't want to go up there. I do not want to go." And he said, I said, "Well, why are you going somewhere you don't want to go?" And he said, "Too many people are depending on me." That's all they said. And he said, "I'll let too many people down." So he goes.
Larry stayed at IU for less than a month and returned home to French Lick. He took a job at the streets department, but his love for the game never wavered.
So this is Larry's famous practice court?
Yeah.
What was going on here?
I just nailed this bucket up with the whole bottom out of it and nailed it up here and like this and stood out there and shot balls in it.
With this low ceiling, he stood up here.
Yeah.
How long would he sit sometimes?
All through dinner time.
Every day just.
Yeah.
Larry enrolled at Indiana State the following fall, and 3 years later led the unheralded Sycamores to 33 straight wins before a championship loss to Michigan State and Magic Johnson. Through it all, he had no idea how far his talents would take him.
And really, when I was in college, I never thought about the pros until the Celtics drafted me in my junior year. The thing with me was, he came from a small school. He never played against good competition. When I got to college, it was basically the same thing. Until my senior year, then everybody sort of figured that I'd be able to play professional basketball. But to me, I didn't know until I got to training camp in Marshfield.
I guarantee you I'll give 100% every time I come out. And if I get a torn toenail or something, I won't sit out. I'll play as hard as I can every night. And I hope I can bring excitement to the fans, and I'll never give up.
These joints load kind of long, huh?
When Larry Bird left behind the towns of French Lick, West Baden, and Terre Haute, Indiana to come here to the city of Boston, the hopes and dreams of an entire franchise were pinned squarely on his shoulders. Anointed as the team's savior, Larry would indeed salvage and restore the pride of the Boston Celtics.
I never really knew what was going on in Boston when I was in college. They drafted me as a junior. I decided to stay in school. Later on, I found they was writing a lot of articles. They was following my career. They had some games on TV out there. But I really never knew what I was getting myself into. Thank God. I mean, it's great that I didn't. When I went out there with a fresh mind, just knowing all I had to do was play basketball for a living. I think the big eye-opener was when I walked in the first practice and Cedric Maxwell and Curtis Rowe and Sidney Wicks were there, and I could hear them sort of rumbling, like, here's our savior, we got to watch out this. And that fired me up right there because I knew I had to go in there and establish myself right away. I couldn't wait 2 or 3 weeks to get a feel. I had to go in and play well the first 2 or 3 practices, or they wouldn't have no respect for.
From day one, he came in and really made an impact even in practice with his passing and his shooting ability. And he just seemed to always be able to spot the open man, and it just came to be that you worked that much harder to get open, because if you did, you would get the ball.
Larry's multifaceted game quickly blossomed in the pros. He captured Rookie of the Year honors in 1980, and the following season led the Boston Celtics back to the NBA mountaintop.
Well, 81 was very important because I wanted to get the first one in my belt because the Magic had one. I thought it was very important because we had a young team and we had to establish ourselves right away. You can come in second or you can come in third all you want, but you got to win a title to get respect.
Larry was now respected as a superstar in the league, but a tumultuous 4-game sweep by the Bucks in the '83 playoffs proved to be a turning point in his career, prompting him to rededicate himself to the game.
I'm going to punish myself as far as playing basketball. I'll take off a couple of weeks, and I'm going to go as hard as I possibly can. And they can always say you'll be burnt out or you're going to be this. Well, I'm going to wait till the day I get burnt out from basketball. I want to win an NBA championship, and I'm going to start in a couple of weeks from now.
I was very embarrassed the way we performed in the playoffs. We had a lot of bickering with the coach, and the players wasn't getting along with each other. That's what usually happens. If players don't get along with the coach, they start bickering among each other, and it was just a bad year. I mean, we started off well. You could tell we was missing something. And after the season was over, we got embarrassed in Milwaukee. It was time to step forward and do something. Are you going to let your whole career go like this? Or are you going to step forward and show these guys who the real leader of this team is and establish yourself as a leader and go from there? And I think that's what I did. I came home, I worked very hard, I went back, and I put together some good years.
Some good years translated into 3 consecutive Most Valuable Player awards and 2 more NBA championships. The first of these titles would come in 1984 at the expense of the hated Lakers, and on a Celtic team that made a habit of winning the big one.
When it come down to one game, I don't think there's ever a better team in basketball than the Boston Celtics that year, because we knew that we had enough good players that could play together, stay within the framework of what we was trying to do, and win the basketball game. As you remember, Senator Maxwell, get on my back, boys, and I'll carry you to the final. That's good enough. If he thought he could do that, give him the ball and let him do it. I mean, nobody else was going to stand by, well, I can do it too. Hey, Cedric said he can do it, let's see if he can do it. And that's how we felt about each other.
How Larry felt about old Phil Magic Johnson was another story. New heights and dominated the mid-'80s, but not until 1987 did a lasting friendship develop.
When we first came in and we didn't speak, we kind of had a little rival, a little thing of I don't like you, you don't like me, that whole thing. And we were on a commercial shoot, and there was a lot of dead time. And on that dead time, we just started talking. And, we said, hey, we ought to stop this. We can be heated rivals when we hit the floor, but off the court, we can talk and be men and really rap to each other.
We sort of found out that we have similar backgrounds. His dad worked very hard, and he used to go with his father to work. He loved the game so much, and we like a lot of things that other people would never dream that we'd like. And I think
what? Fishing?
Well, yeah, we go together. We go fishing together. We go mess around, shopping, walking through malls or movies and stuff like that.
While Magic Johnson represented the opponent he most feared, Larry would tab Dennis Johnson as the best he's ever played with.
DJ could always take his game to another level. No matter how the opposing team is playing, he could take it to that next level. A lot of players can't do that. A lot of players sort of max out. DJ always seems to take another level. Like I said, when DJ started driving to the hole, he played a different game. He never missed free throws. You hardly ever see him miss free throws at the end of the game. And get the ball in the people's hands that were getting the job done. Very intelligent.
Everything just fit right as a glove when it pertained to me and Larry, and all the passes that I made. I mean, anything that we did, it just worked. I mean, we can go back to the steal against Detroit. He makes the steal, I make the cut, I make the basket. He passes to me. One of the few times, I might add, he passes to me too.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up, 1 second left. Wow, play by Bird. Bird stole the imposing pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up and in. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left. Oh my, this place is going crazy.
But always remember, Larry Bird came to win. He didn't come to play, he came to win. He'd play hurt, and also, Larry Bird, in my opinion, was the most highly self-motivated athlete I ever saw.
Larry's self-motivation and will to win never displayed itself more prominently or with more emotion than in Game 6 of the '86 Finals, when the Celtics claimed banner number 16.
I never, ever felt a feeling like that. I was so pumped up for that game. I think I slept probably an hour to 2 hours the night before because I was so pumped up, and I was trying to calm myself down. And I was everywhere that day. I mean, I was running around, playing the zone. I think it was just so much emotion because I won a championship the year that we had to have one. We had our best team. We put our best team forward. We had a great year. And when I came out of that game, I actually thought I was going to have a heart attack. By the time I got to the bench, I remember Bill Walton grabbed me, and I said, hey, I just got to sit down. I mean, Jesus. I thought I was going to die. But if I died right there that day, I've been a happy man.
Come on, man.
In 1980, when the Boston Celtics traded for Robert Parrish and a draft pick which became Kevin McHale, no one could have imagined the glory and camaraderie to follow. Suffice it to say, there may never be another front line to compare in greatness with the big three of Bird, Parrish, and McHale.
Two baddest white guys in the world.
I see Robert hit that pick and roll with Larry, and Larry threw that bounce pass and cheap and dunk it. And I say, I've just seen that play a million times, and no one still can't stop him.
He's a guy that can't jump. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he just beat guys on fundamentals.
Kevin plays against me hard, and I play against him hard. I try to push him to the limits, and he tries to push me to the limits. It's just something that always happened. I remember his first practice with the Celtics. I thought, well, I'm going to kill this guy today, because he came in late. Went in there about the first 2 or 3 times, he blocked my shot, and I thought, you know, look at this guy, a little bit more respect. I mean, he actually blocked my shot the first 2 times I went in there, and I thought, boy, this guy can play defense. Well, come to find out, he's a great defensive player, but he's a heck of a lot better scorer. Everybody always builds up and blows things out of proportion. I have a lot of respect for Kevin. He's a great basketball player, and he's a great guy.
Great, good relationship. You know, I think it was a lot of people expected, because we both came from small towns, both came from the Midwest, both were white, both played forward, and both played for the Celtics, that we'd be joined at the hip. But we're 2 different people. But in all the times that Larry and I played, you know, we never had any disagreements. We played very well together. It was always fun playing with him. It was really an honor and a privilege to play with Larry Bird. And I don't think a lot of people really know him that well off the court. He's a pretty fun-loving, fun guy.
Kevin reminds me a lot of my little brother. Kevin works very hard. Kevin spends a lot of time after practice working on his game. But the thing that always made me mad about Kevin, he was having 2 years there where he was playing so great that it was just unbelievable watching him play. And I always sit there on the bench, I said, God, Kevin, you can win the MVP this year. I don't want it. I don't care. I don't want it. You know, it's not a big deal. I want to just play and help win. He let 1 year slip away where he could win the big prize. You know, 1 time is good enough. When you win it 1 time, that's all you need to win it. And Kevin had all the skills to do it. And when I go to my grave, I'll know that 1 year he played just as well or even better than I did.
Larry's, I think, is a very nice person, a very proud person also. Takes a lot of pride in everything that he does. I think that's one of the reasons why he has such great work ethics on the basketball court. I think that's one of the reasons why he's such a great player, because he takes a lot of pride in what he do. And if I could say one thing to describe Larry, you know, he's a very, very proud person. Very proud.
Once we stepped on the court, we had a bond. We was all there to accomplish something, and we knew that we was all good in our areas. We had to use that to win basketball games. Robert would come to practice. He'd do his work. He's the hardest worker I ever seen him practice in a 2-hour period. He'd do everything the coach. I hardly ever seen him miss a practice. He'd work as hard as he possibly could. When the practice was over, if he needed extra shooting, he'd stay around and shoot a little bit, but he was gone. Robert likes his privacy, and we all respected that.
I've heard, you know, different critics say, you know, arguably we are the best front line to be assembled, but I don't know about the greatest, but I know we're one of the greatest. You know, I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by great talent like Larry and Kevin.
Two of the best forwards who ever played the game.
We're playing with the best post-up guys who have played the game and the best all-around forward to have played the game.
And I look back on it, we all complement each other very well. I think that Larry's ability to move the ball, shoot the ball, get the ball inside of Robert and I's ability to block shots, if Larry's man got by him, or cover up a little bit on the defensive end for all of us guys. Then let Larry roam a little bit more and play the team defense, which he's very effective at. All that stuff, we all helped each other, because no one person wins and no one person can do it. And altogether, us three, run a lot of games together and did a lot of really fun things on the court together.
So we always got together when we was on the road for New Year's. Didn't matter, every New Year's Eve, we all get together as a team and we party a little bit, or we go out and eat. And that's really the only time we got together as a group. And that's just the way we did things. Now we're getting a little bit older. Of course, we can't stay up late anymore like we used to.
Yeah, right. The camaraderie that we've had between the three of us, the closeness, all the fun we've had, off the court. Not to mention the fun we had on the court. And that's one of the things I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss the friendship part of it. I've said this before. That's the one thing I'm going to miss most about not having Larry around.
Them guys will never know how much I appreciate them, because I know how good they were and what they did for us to win basketball games.
His time came, but boy, I tell you what, he had a hell of a run. And say whatever you want about the man, he had a hell of a run when he was out there playing. He was the best he's the best I ever played with, against, or anything I've ever seen. People talk about Michael Jordan now and stuff. Michael Jordan can do a ton of stuff, but I don't think anybody was as good in the last few seconds as Larry was.
All right, now Danny goes cross-court to Bird. Bird throws it up. It's gone! A three-pointer! Larry Bird hit a three-pointer with 4 seconds to go, and they lead by 1. DJ is going to put the ball in a play. He's not being guarded. It goes to Bird. Bird up fakes. Bird takes the shot. It's gone! Oh, my goodness! I can't believe it! It is gone from the corner! Oh, my! Bird pops out. Gets it on the sideline. Goes baseline. Throws it up. And Larry Bird did it again! He did it again! Oh, my goodness! He did it again! He hit the runner from the right side, the baseline, and did it again!
Alright, y'all, we're going to do a part 2 of this. Also from the first start off by saying, excuse me, I was kind of dozing a little bit. I don't know, I just got tired out of nowhere. Maybe because I just been up late doing videos and stuff like that. But yeah, man, the grind don't stop. Got to do it no matter what, man. Y'all gonna see me kind of dozing a little bit. This time I really was dozing. Like, wow. But anyway, yeah, watch out. Look out for the part 2, man. It's definitely coming ASAP. But yeah, this is really good, man. It's really good. I was trying it just hit me. Like, sometimes I'm just sitting here and it just hit me. Maybe because I also ate too before I did it. I usually try to exercise a little bit after I eat, to kind of keep myself. But anyway, man, look out for the part 2. Part 1 is dropping right now, and look out for the part 2. And yeah, man, that's about it. Part 2 is definitely coming right after, real soon. So definitely look out for that. But yeah, man, y'all know, keep it short and sweet. On to the next video. I'm out. Peace.